Get in, nerds. We're playing Hearts of Iron 4. This is going to be a little different from what we've been doing, but you know, it's going to be what we're doing for now. I kind of got stopped up on Hoi 4. I launched a run. It wasn't good. I didn't like it. So I'm not going to put it up. I am going to finish the Ottoman Empire run, but for now we're going to be interspersing that with Hoi 4, and once I finish with the Ottoman Empire Vicky 3 run, I'll decide whether or not we're doing continued Vicky 3 content, or if we're going to pivot completely to Hoi 4. We'll just kind of see how it goes. So yeah, so we're doing a fully historical run. I've got the game set to historical AI focuses. We are on Ironman here, so, and this will be my first time. I've played Hearts of Iron 4 to death, but this will be my first time playing on Ironman. You'll get to see all the dumb mistakes I make. So yeah, so you know, that's going to be a good time. I'm not going to be doing, again, this is the run that I'm doing just so that I can, I am going to continue making content. I'm not going to just stop up, but I'm not going to be doing a lot of explaining in this because I'm just doing this because this is what I'm into for now. Yeah, get all these guys onto Island Garrison, Alaska Command, and then Philippine Division is going to be its own army. Alright, that sorts the things. Once again, this is going to be a fully historical run. I don't know the exact order of the United States national foci, but we'll just kind of eyeball it and do what feels right. But the goal is we're going to focus on number one. We're not going to be joining the war until we're attacked, so it's going to be historical in that sense. And we're going to be going by the historical path, which of course is here under Neutrality Act. Started with Continue the New Deal. So what are we going to build for? I think I'm going to go ahead and build my Pacific Wall. This is a very common... well, I shouldn't say that. I don't actually know how common this strategy is. We're gonna build some air bases and whatnot in the Pacific in case we need to fight Japan. Obviously, this is a little more of an optimal strategy than it would be in a normal run where you don't on a run on default where you don't necessarily know whether or not Japan is going to be getting fighty with you. But as the United States in an historical run, we know that they are. So that's just going to kind of be how it is. Get all this together. There's a lot to do before you get started in Hoi 4, and that's just kind of how it is. Get all these built. Wake. Midway. Am I going to upgrade the naval bases? I don't think so. Upgrading naval bases takes forever in the current patch. We're building planes. I don't need those. We're going to need some motorized. We're going to need some trains. We're going to need more infantry equipment, more support equipment, more artillery. All right. Queue a few in. Just to make sure everything goes well there. I'm going to buy some chromium from our good friends in Cuba. Actually, no, this is a historical run. We're going to buy them from the UK. Rubber we're going to buy from British Malaya. I think France is going to be basically useless in this run because they're on historical. And if default AI can't play an effective France, then historical definitely can't. And in my experience, they often cannot. Merge the navies. And let's get going. Let's see. We're going to garrison the armies in Virginia. Oh, right. Put us on pause here. Gotta set up my garrison orders for my other army. So, Puerto Rico. Panama Canal Zone. Hawaii. Wake, Line Islands. I forget the name of this island. I think this might be Atu. Midway. And finally, Guam. 16, yep, that's what we want. Alright. And then finally, we're going to set up our defense construction project in the Philippines. Quickly build that. We're going to want the big Philippines Railroad to be level 2. And then we're going to need naval bases here and here. And that should suffice for the Philippines. Has the Philippines started building these yet themselves? No, they have not. That is just fine. We're going to go ahead and put the Philippine division in its own theater. Ships have basically merged, so let's get them on naval exercises. We'll grab all of our terrestrial air wings and get those merged as well. They are going to do air exercises once they're all together in Virginia. Just going to let those go where they're going. Let me see, late January. Doing just fine, don't need to lobby yet. Once we get the cash for the political power from continuing the New Deal, we're going to grab Taft. He's going to give us extra political power gain. Political power is going to be our primary bottleneck in this run. That and fighter bombers, but we don't use fighter bombers for much, so... Or I don't use fighter bombers for much. I think they're kind of garbage. Hooray! We got an event. Opposition suffers defeat in the Senate. A motion to censure President Franklin Delano Roosevelt has been defeated in the Senate. While even its most ardent supporters had little hope that it would pass, the amount of votes against it came as a shock even to the most pessimistic of observers. It appears that the president enjoys a far greater level of support in the Senate than most believed, which should help in advancing his legislative agenda. Great, up to 10 senators support the government. You're going to see this event a bunch of times, so I'm only going to read it this one time. So yeah, there we go. And this is just changing up the support in the House and Senate. All right, all of our air wings are together. We're going to merge them. We're going to go ahead and set them exercising. Italy moves to annex the Sultanate of Aussa. Rumors are swirling that the annexation of the Sultanate of Aussa by Italian forces may be imminent. Italian troops have been seen amassing on the border of the isolated nation, and sources indicate that pressure is being exerted by diplomatically in Aussa to force a capitulation without bloodshed. It remains to be seen whether Muhammad Yayo can resist the Italian pressure, but the situation does not look promising. Yeah, Aussa is a very small country. This is Muhammad Yayo right here. So yeah, they're probably going to be annexed. We'll see how that plays in a second. Sultanate of Aussa submits to Italian demands. Perhaps unsurprisingly to many, the Sultanate of Aussa has accepted Italian demands for subjugation. While the Afar government held out hope of avoiding occupation, it became increasingly clear that the colonial powers of the region would not be coming to their aid, nor would neighboring Ethiopia be able to spare military personnel to support them. With the situation so bleak, the government bowed to Italian pressure to spare the people becoming the victims of unnecessary bloodshed. Italian forces are now moving into the small nation to take up new positions on the border with Ethiopia. It is unclear whether the occupation will be permanent or how it will impact the wider Italian conflict with Ethiopia. Unsurprising, unfortunately. So that's been taken over. So the first major event we're going to see is going to be the Spanish Civil War. It's probably going to go the way of the nationalists. I think, yeah, it's going to go with the nationalists undivided, because this is an historical run. That's going to be kind of in the middle of the year. Again, I do kind of have the advantage of knowing exactly what's going to happen, but it is what it is. We got another one of these events that we're going to see a million times. House hearings into presidential misconduct. A minor scandal originating in the White House has started to gain momentum, following weeks of media reports implying that a minor administrative official had been taking bribes in return for lucrative government contracts. The House Committee on Expenditures and the Executive has begun to hold hearings to determine if the president was aware of this. While most observers don't believe this will lead to any major trouble for President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, it will no doubt mean that many of the president's supporters will have to lay low for a while. Up to 40 representatives go into opposition. So once again, as you can see, this screen we got folks going into opposition. If we go directly to WPA, we can still do that. I'm going to be doing a strategy where as soon as we've got enough, I'm going to do a major lobbying thing, and then I'm going to grab Taft. That's going to put us at negative political power for a bit, but hopefully with Taft there, it'll help us sort it out. We got some naval experience, and we're getting absolutely tons from our naval exercises here. So let's go ahead and fix up our naval stuff straight out the gate. I'm going to go with integrated designers for extra modules research speed. For Spirit of the Academy, we're definitely going to do Instilled Aggression to get extra attack. And then we're going to replace Bureau of Ordnance with probably Efficient Communications. I think that's the historical. USA 1. We are going to be going historical for these, so we're not necessarily going to be doing, particularly for the officer corps and doctrine and whatnot, we're not necessarily going to be doing the thing that is optimal. We're going to be doing the thing that is accurate from an historical perspective. So that's kind of going to be the logic of how I plan my doctrines and whatnot. But for the moment, we don't necessarily need to worry about that. I know the Pacific Wall is not an historical thing, but, you know, we're doing it. It's what we've decided to do. It's what we're currently doing. I'm going to go ahead and put the forts below the upgrades to the Philippines. I just want to help the Philippines kind of get going in the early game. I'll go up to speed 4 here. And first, National Focus should be popping pretty soon. The National Folk hires 70 days because I think that lands... I think the reason that decision was basically made is because that lands the militarization of the Rhineland, which is the event that kind of kicks off the whole... which arguably kicks off the Second World War on its historical date. Which should be about to come up. The remilitarization of the Rhineland. Germany has stationed troops in the Rhineland territory close to the French border in clear violation of the Treaty of Versailles. The local population cheered the German soldiers on, while the diplomatic reactions from France and Britain have so far been muted. It is no more than the Germans walking into their own backyard, a political commentator in Britain observed. Worrying. We're going to go directly on to WPA. We're going to hit our lobbying button. This is going to give us a bunch more support in the House and Senate. And then we're going to grab everybody's favorite silent workhorse, Robert Taft, to get us a little bit of extra political power. This is going to be negative for a while as long as the lobbying effort is underway. But it'll get sorted out pretty soon. Turkey remilitarizes the Turkish Straits. Turkey and the Soviet Union have come to an agreement on revising the Treaty of Lausanne, which was signed and implemented after the nascent Republic of Turkey repulsed the Entente in the Turkish War of Independence. The treaty has long been decried as an assault on Turkish sovereignty, but today the treaty is finally amended in favor of the newly legalized Montreux Convention. Turkey now has complete control over the traffic that passes in and out of the Turkish Straits, and the states around the straits have now been remilitarized by Turkey. British observers, who were a part of the process, are merely satisfied that conflict in the region has been avoided. Good for Turkey. You get 'em, Turkey. Got a few more naval experience. We're going to go ahead and grab Instilled Aggression. And once that has continued to be built up, we'll probably get... well, actually, I do have something I can spend my naval experience on. But I realized I forgot to reallocate these thingy-mahoos right here. So we're going to put all these into the main fleet. We're going to split that up later, but for the moment, all of the boats are going in the one fleet, except for the one that I was too slow to allocate there. Is it historical? I kind of always remarked among my friends that, well, no, there are a lot of people who are like, we're in a simulation, blah, 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 blah. Well, no, the simulation is Hearts of Iron 4. If one day on January 1st, every fleet in the world is ordered to mass outside its... Why does that keep happening? Is ordered to mass outside their respective capitals for redeployment. That's how we'll know. Got range improvements. That's very good. Can't get the other aircraft stuff quite yet. Got our industry. Should we do early synthetic oil? Yeah, I think that makes sense. We'll do an early run at synthetic oil. We're not choked on that. We are going to design ourselves a boat here. My very creative name, Submarine 2. It's going to be all torpedoes all the time. There's mechanical engineering. Shocking no one, we're going to be building up mechanical engineering in order to get our research speed up. Research speed is not going to be a problem in the mid-game for us, but it's always better to have more research speed than less. So, let's see. Remind myself what the historical path here is. Yeah, we're going to go with the Agricultural Adjustment Act. I think after that, it's going to be Scientific Research and Development, then Neutrality Act, then Arsenal of Democracy. Unless we want to try to do an early rush of the War Department to selective training, which could be useful. We are going to go Tank Destroyer Doctrine. Oh, interesting. Well, Tank Destroyer Doctrine is probably still better, but we could make an early run at Armored Infantry to get us a research bonus on Mechanized. I know that's a good thing to rush early, but we'll see. I do so love getting all the tasty factories from all the foci down here. Agricultural Adjustment Act, Fair Labor Standards Act, and Federal Housing Act each require a 230-day period between them. So that's 3 national foci plus 20 days. I'm going to be just waiting out the 20 days. I do not think that it makes sense to be trying to get to be putting more time between you and finishing the Depression when playing as the United States. I think that does not make a whole lot of sense. So that's the way we're going to play it. How many carriers do we have? We have 3. We're going to need a total of 8. These are both Lexington-class carriers, which means they're as good as they can be in the early game. Right, very good. WPA, actually, we're 1 senator short of where we want to be, I believe. So we're going to need to lobby again a little bit. Oh, no, we're exactly where we need to be. Well, that's fine. That's not a tragedy. Not a tragedy to do a little bit of extra lobbying, I always say. We're going to be doing some pork barrel spending later, believe you me. Ooh. Second London Naval Treaty signed. Delegations from Britain, France, Italy, Japan, and the U.S. met in December of 1935 to discuss the renewal of the First London Naval Treaty, which restricted the number and size of cruisers and submarines. Negotiations turned quite heated over Italy's war in Ethiopia and Japan's desire to be seen as equal to Britain and the United States. With negotiations now at an end, the signatory nations have agreed on limits to the size of battleships and aircraft carriers, in the hopes of preventing another ruinous arms race. This will safeguard the peace better than any super battleship. Great. Perfect. It's going to go so well. Uncle Samuel, you're gonna love the naval treaties. Very nearly there on Navy experience. Spain is still not going buck wild, but they're going to go buck wild soon enough, I think. Let's see. Yeah, we'll go up to speed 4. We can live with speed 4. Are all of our air wings fully exercised yet? Yes, they are. Very good. A senator votes for government proposal. In a recent vote, a senator has surprisingly switched sides to vote for a government proposal. While the issue itself was fairly minor, the public vote of support from a previously outspoken critic of Franklin Delano Roosevelt has raised many eyebrows around Washington. Some analysts believe that this example will lead to additional senators to reconsider their stances. A useful ally, and this is up to 5 senators will support the government. These Senate and Congress events are going to get repetitive in a hurry, but for the moment they're interesting. I don't think the lobbying actually affects that in a meaningful way. By the way, we are not going... Well, I think we actually are going to be pulling out of the naval treaties. Get another one of these. I think this is the last one that's unique. Representative speaks passionately in support of the government. Asked about her stance on a number of policy issues at a fundraising dinner, a representative spoke out in support of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt's policies. She further claimed that many of her fellow representatives had similar views, but were merely held back by, quote, idiotic short-sightedness, thinking no further than the next election, unquote, instead of doing what was right for the American people. Her comments have been widely reported by the press and put several of her colleagues in hot water, as they had to explain where they stood on these issues. She's right, and this gives us up to 25 representatives. So that's good. That's very good. Turns out we didn't need to do that lobbying campaign, but it's nice to have done it. We're going to hit an election in November, and the first time we're going to need congressional approval for something is going to be after that, so I'm probably not going to worry about lobbying for now. Basic research tools is done. I'm going to go with concentrated because we're the United States and no one is close enough to bomb us except for Canada and Mexico, and they're going to be nice to us because we're going to be nice to them. And because they don't want to be invaded by me. Mexico's got a bunch of fellas on our border, but I think that's all for show. You still getting any naval experience? No. There's the WPA, and here's the Agricultural Adjustment Act. So this is going to knock out our... well, it's not going to knock out. It's going to weaken our depression debuff. So far we've got 3 situations going on. We got Home of the Free, which is the can create factions thing for majors. We got the London Naval Treaties, which maxes the production cost of carriers, cruisers, and heavy ships that we build. And then we've got the Great Depression. The Great Depression is going to cost us 1 political power per day. It's going to reduce our resource gain efficiency. It's going to cut our recruitable population factor in half. It's going to throw a barrel full of consumer goods factories on our consumer goods factories, and then it's going to increase our tension join limit for factions by 20%. So this is going to reduce that. It's going to give us a little bit more political power, a little bit more resource gain efficiency, a little bit more recruitable population factor, and a few fewer consumer goods. As you can see, we've got an absolutely bananas number of factories dedicated to consumer goods, 67%, but we're getting there. It's getting easier. It's getting easier. We've almost finished with the fixing up the railroad in the Philippines. And, I think I'm going to do an infrastructure first run, because the United States actually has a ton of places that it builds up infrastructure in a historical run, and we are going to be doing a lot of that. So I think we're just going to go ahead and press those buttons right away. This is actually, I don't know if more efficient is going to be the right way to explain it, but it's going to, these infrastructure investments are going to pay off. Do we do Indiana? I don't think so. We don't do New Jersey, we don't do Maryland. Getting a good amount of factories from trade, which is good. We've got 150 political power, so let's go ahead and get ourselves a a chief of army. We're getting Eisenhower. No one should be shocked by this. Eisenhower gives us a big old barrel full of extra attack. Okay, come on, navies. What do you got going on here? Now do naval exercises. I think I might have set them to turn off when they're reach veterancy, but that was a mistake. All right, okay, here we go. We're accumulating naval experience again properly. Cool. So right about now, so when I say that the remilitarization of the Rhineland is what kind of kicks off World War II, that's strictly speaking not accurate. Japan has been doing stuff in China for a long time at this point, so it's a little bit of a misnomer to say, well, it was all Germany. It's kind of it's very much that's very much a perspective taken by a focus on events going on in Europe as the basis for understanding what's happening in the world, but it's not very historical. Let's see. So right now we got the Agricultural Adjustment Act. So we're going to do 3 more foci, and then we're going to then we're going to wait, and then we're going to do another one of the Depression Reduction Acts, because that's how it's going to go. Efficient communications gives us a positioning bonus. I don't know if that's that good, but I certainly like it. We're going to accumulate, as I said, a barrel full of Navy experience. I think I might actually grab an air person during the next time we've got enough political power, because getting some air experience early on would be useful. Okay, there's the Spanish Civil War. So, as you can see, the Nationalists have got this big swath here. Wow, they got a bunch this time. They did really, really well positioning themselves. Which is... I don't know if that's actually historical. I can't remember if it's historical for them to get this whole area, or if that's just what they get when you're under historical national foci. Because in a typical run, you're going to see the Nationalists get just this territory and maybe Salamanca. But mostly they'll get just this area, and they'll take over this stuff pretty quickly. And they'll have some garrisons kind of all over the place, but we'll see. There's a whole, if you're playing a country that does interventionism in the early game, there's a whole lot of action that goes on in Spain in the early game, but we're going to avoid that because we're the United States. We're enjoying a nice, quiet situation where we're not bothering anybody, and hopefully nobody's going to bother us. In fact, let's see. I don't want to do the Neutrality Act because I don't want it to fall before the election, because I'm going to get representatives out of this. The Neutrality Act is going to give me just a barrel full of political power. It is going to reduce my base war support, but that's not going to matter because my base war support is already 0. And pretty soon after that, we'll get building our cruisers. And pretty well after that, we're going to have, actually, let's go ahead and cut. We want to finish the destroyers first. And after the election, Congress is just going to kind of reset. So we'll see. We'll see how things go. I spent a little bit more stuff than political power on it than I really probably should have at this point, but that's not a tragedy. We're going to do another lobbying thing at the beginning of October, just to finish out, just to make sure that we get some more seats as soon as the election happens. Because we're going historical, we're going to stick with FDR. He's going to give us a buff called the New Deal. As you can see, finishing up the, hey, here's Representative speaks passionately in support of the government. Again, this gives us some extra representatives. So you can see these events, they're happening over and over. Enough for a doctrine. Oh, enough for a special forces doctrine. Actually, I'll think about that in a minute, but I'm almost assuredly going to do Marines. The games of the 11th Olympiad. The 11th Olympic Games were recently held in Berlin, Germany. Attended by athletes from 49 different countries across the world, the 1936 Summer Olympics are the first in history to have enjoyed limited live television coverage. The Games were a significant propaganda victory for the German regime, which spent lavishly on the event. German athletes saw the most success, winning 33 gold medals, while the Americans came in second with 24. 4 of these were won by Jesse Owens, the single most successful athlete of the Games. The games are concluded. Nice little flavor event there. So the Special Forces doctrines are a little new to me. I think for the beginning I'm going to focus the naval experience on building up my naval doctrine tree. I kind of want to get to the second row before we go futzing around with Special Forces stuff. Once again, asking the United Kingdom for more chromium. As you can see, our recruitable pop has gone up. Alright, here we go. Another Senate and another Congress event. Senator speaks out against government policy. A senator has given an interview in a major newspaper saying that he can no longer support the, quote, foolish and dangerous, unquote, policies of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He further claimed that he knew several other senators who thought similarly and would abandon the president in short order. He'll come running back soon enough. Let's see. Oh yeah, we do have our army experience. I'm actually going to grab Relief of Command to get us additional army experience gain, because I love all that tasty, tasty army experience. But that's going to be in a minute. So once we get some of this infrastructure built up, we'll go ahead and start building more military factories. I'm going to set the New Jersey one first because we're not necessarily building up over there. Let me see. Where else do we need to build infrastructure? We're definitely going to build some in Tennessee. We've got a pile of steel there. Obviously, we're going to build it in Texas and California because those places are chock full of building slots. Nevada's got a lot of resources, and a lot of these places have resources, but oh, Missouri. That's right. This is Missouri, right? If that's not Missouri, I'm going to feel very silly. Yes. Okay. So for those of you who are not thrilled with my my overall weak Japanese geography, now you'll know it's not just Japan. Alright, let's go ahead and get ourselves an air guy. We'll do Ethiopia has capitulated. We'll do air safety. Reduce accidents chance is always nice. Oh, I don't have the command power. Well, fiddlesticks. Alright, Ethiopia has capitulated. The Ethiopian government has gone into exile, and their main forces have capitulated to Italy, who is now in control of their home area. Although the struggles between Italy and Ethiopia are over, Italy is still at all-out war, and the fighting continues elsewhere. Huh. I think that might be a generic... No, they're... Oh, okay. So Ethiopia is now in the Allies. So they're not going to be able to pull the United Kingdom into this war necessarily, because they're capitulated, but there's a whole event chain involving that. You can see in Spain, the nationalists have gained ground in the north, and probably will continue to do so. We're getting command power at an absolutely absurdly low rate, but that's the United States in the early game for you. I think I'm going to probably go till the end of September and kick us off again in the next episode with the beginning of October here. As we slowly build up the command power we need to get ourselves an air person. Got about 100 Navy experience, so I'm going to go ahead and grab a... Oh, that's not the button. Where's the button? we'll go ahead and get started with around 10 submarines. You can't go wrong building submarines, especially in the early game. Oh, it's here. Big smart today, friends. Yeah, we'll start with carrier primacy. This is going to give us 20 extra org for our characters and 10% extra naval targeting and sortie efficiency. It's just a general, very strong bonus to carrier stuff. And that's going to cost us 100 naval experience, but that's alright. We're not spending a whole lot of naval experience yet because it's still very early on in the game. I chose to do synthetic oil experiments early on to get that knocked out. We're definitely going to see some bonuses from that. It's actually going to be like another 10 days before we got the command power for this. It's technically October 2nd, but that's alright. So this is our first episode of the Hearts of Iron 4 run. We got a lot of early game development done. I've had fun. I hope you all have had fun, and I will see you all on the other side.